Hello everyone, this is Dr. Good Vibe from OmegaSupreme.com. Today's date is September the 28th, 2010, and we're going to be covering today's Forex commentary, the calendar, as well as the economic calendar, as well as breaking headlines, and checking out my trades, my personal trades for my model account that is trading the highest yielding currency pairs. Let's get started on today's news. The major news today is the consumer confidence report being released today. On Bloomberg does a really nice cover on this, and it fell by more than what was forecasted. So this was pretty much perceived by the market already, so it wasn't a big surprise by most traders and investors. Funny enough, if you take a look, how did the markets do? Well, let's take a look here. Once we got some very bad news, we got some bad commentary, and guess what? The American stock exchanges, the equities markets went up. So all of them kind of went up. The S&P 500 went up, the NASDAQ. Even in Canada, the TSX went up by about 0.72%. Europe was so-so. It kind of was up in Sweden, in Stockholm, and France versus the UK, France, Germany, Spain, not so much. All of these down. Spain, I mean, it was one of the pig countries. It has debt issues, so not a big surprise that it isn't doing extremely well. Asia Pacific last night didn't do so hot either. Japan and Hong Kong down, so not a big surprise there. Stock futures being up, good reasoning. Basically, we're looking at a possible upshoot on the market. Remember, yesterday I reported that yesterday was a big down day, and a good reasoning for that was that there was quite a bit of profit taking. So let's take a look at the chart. This is a TSX. This was yesterday. You can see a little bit of downward momentum here yesterday, but really people are buying the dips, and we're seeing quite a heavy bit of resistance here all along this area right here. So prices will continue to bump up and down around here with volatility based on this Bollinger Bandwidth indicator being low. However, we do see an increase, a little bump right here in congruence with today's volatility, so we may see some upward momentum. If this level breaks right here, we might see some continued growth in the Canadian TSX market. Let's check out the S&P 500. The S&P 500, as we can see, did go down yesterday. Now we saw an open that was actually right at the close of the day before, and but however, it had a good solid downward move during the day, and then it closed up. So we should see if tomorrow or over the course of the next couple of days, this price level holds. If this price level breaks above this level, we might possibly look for a more upside in the US equities markets. Now let's take a look at the Euro USD. I don't really trade the Euro USD at all, but it's still a good indicator of the world markets and the general direction of the USD. Again, because of the poor consumer confidence, that was a huge confidence in the euro, and we saw a massive movement up to 1.358. The news suggested earlier that the euro was basically in trouble. The Greek debt situation, Ireland debt situation, Spain, etc., the pig countries, that would be Portugal, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. Italy's there as well. These countries not doing so well, specifically having Greek-like debt issues. Though the market doesn't care at this point because the U.S. is looking to be still sort of a downward market. The U.S. Fed will probably continue its monetary easing policy, which means that they're going to continue to buy treasuries and continue to print money. And that in itself has a downward momentum on the USD, and the USD will then depreciate in value, and therefore the Euro USD will increase in value. So that's it for the Euro USD. That's it. Let's move on to the currencies that we normally track and our portfolio. So the portfolio of three currency pairs that currently we're looking at right now, so that's USD TRY, AUD USD, and USD HUF. These three currencies right now are doing extremely well. Right now, the average profit in pips is 166 pips for the Turkish lira, 256 for the Aussie dollar, and 909 pips for the Hungarian forint. These are averages because I do scale into my positions and at the same time scale out of my positions. So all along the way in the trend, I'm basically profiting up and down, as well as capturing the interest rate differential. I'm capturing the yield. So having said that, let's get on with looking at the charts here. Let's start with the Aussie dollar. I had actually a buy order right here at 0.955, and you know what? It got struck overnight. So the market kind of dipped in the Aussie dollar, struck me, bought into my order, and then kept on going up. So I was very lucky in this point. Had a really good run up on this on buy order. I do scale in this way, and all along from here I've been scaling in and out of positions. So believing that the Aussie dollar will continue to increase, and mainly because I'm bullish on commodities as well as bullish on the Australian economy because it's tie-in to China. And so, having said that, I believe that the Aussie government will possibly increase its interest rate and its real interest rate, and therefore have a greater yield differential, and so quite possibly see this trend continue upward. When looking against indicators, we're seeing the Ishimoku cloud, we're seeing the Ishimoku indicator continue to trend upward. We're seeing the currency bounce off of the major trend line of the Ishimoku. It did not break this trend line. The trend line is still upward. We are not looking to see it flatten out yet. I may scale out of some positions when this trend line flattens out, or when the Ishimoku breaks below the actual trend line. But at the moment, we're looking very good. I don't really perceive to see any kind of downward momentum in the short run. However, CCI does look to be peaking out. We're seeing some divergence from the top. So we're seeing lower lows here, here, and here, or rather lower highs here and here, where we're getting higher highs here and here. So CCI is diverging from the currency pair. That is a note to remember. So we may in fact keep a close eye on this to see if there's going to be any kind of exhaustion in this currency pair. Moving on to USD TRY. I recently added to this position at the low because I perceive this currency to continue lower. It is at the very low, so I actually bought not at the most opportune time, or rather sold at the most opportune time. I will be holding this position for a bit longer. I probably should have sold around here somewhere, but that's okay. When the market does turn around on this currency pair, if it does, I will sell some more around here near the Ishimoku line. The trend still looks a good solid downward. It has a downward momentum. We're seeing CCI continue downward as well. That's a good sign. So right now we're up 166.5 pips starting from here and moving on the way down. Right now the portion of the portfolio that makes up this amount is about a third. I try to make my portfolio be the profit anyway, or the drawdown to be third between this and the other two currencies that I trade. Moving on to the next currency pair, which is USD HUF. Here it is. And USD HUF has dropped again. I sold yesterday a little bit here, and it has continued its downward momentum. It's been depreciated. The HUF portion, the forint, has been appreciating, while the USD again has been depreciating from this point where I actually sold originally. So I've been holding this position for almost 2.5 weeks now and capturing the interest rate differential and selling a little portions here and there along the way. So good signs along the way here, and we're up quite a bit of pips. On this position alone, I'm up about 1,700 pips. So very good, very good. I will probably, because it's gone down so much, hold on to these positions for a while. I want this currency to actually drop to this level here before I start to even think about selling off this position. I'd probably like to see another 1,000 pips before I kind of start to take some off. But again, I'm very, very bullish on emerging markets right now, especially emerging markets that have high interest rates. I'm very bullish on commodities and basically countries that are tie-ins to China. Basically any country that is rather feeding the Chinese dragon, I'm all for it. Because I'm not investing directly into China right now, I'm going to invest in the countries that are basically feeding China its raw materials, such as iron ore from Australia, etc. So I'm a commodities bull right now and definitely risk on. I'm not very sheepish at the moment, and I'm looking to see if I can take as much out of these nice trendy movements as I possibly can. We're probably not going to see moves like this over the rest of the months until probably maybe we might have another month or two until about early December where things will start to cool off. So let's try to take advantage of it as we possibly can. Looking at the results really quickly, realized P&L, so these are trades that have actually closed. 3.75% were up. The actual net asset value, this is realized plus unrealized profit, where we would actually be up 17.68%. Very, very good. We're near 20% when in roughly 2.5 trading weeks. So that the actual account was started in the 13th of September. So very good. To be honest, I have to admit that the risk-wise has been next to nil. The account has never gone into a drawdown yet. Though again, this is very optimistic. I'm going to look to hold on to these positions for a while. So we'll see if I'll be able to hold on to this near 20% gain. The S&P 500 has done 3.08%, and the TSX has done 1.12%. So we're hands down beating the S&P 500 and beating the TSX. So looking forward to closing out this month by really beating out the S&P 500 by at least 10%, within the NAV, and possibly by at least 1% realized. So very, very good results so far. Even if we can close down around here, it's going to be a great sign, especially at the very beginning of the account open. Anyway, thank you. This is Dr. Good Vibe signing off from OmegaSupreme.com. Today's date is September the 28th, 2010, 7:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9:31 a.m. in Tokyo, and 3:31 p.m. in London. Thank you.